Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Modi to leave for his Japan visit today to hold key meetings focusing defense, security, trade and economy. Next to visit China for SCO summit. Trump holds Gaza policy meeting at White House, predicts conclusive ending of the conflict by the end of the year as Israel facing pressure over strikes. In the US, 2 children dead and 17 others injured in a Minneapolis school shooting, shooter killed. Djokovic advances to third round while Prasar knocked out of US Open. And on to the details now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Japan from 29th to 30th of August. India and Japan are close economic and strategic partners. DT India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh speaks with Indian Ambassador to Japan, C.B. George, on the significance of the Prime Minister's visit.
India's Ambassador to Japan, Ambassador C.B. George. Welcome to DT India, sir. What will be Prime Minister Modi's key engagements during this visit?
Thank you very much. When you look at India-Japan relationship, we have excellent relationship. We have a civilizational connect, we have a cultural connect. You go in this country, any part of the country, you will see that there is an India connect. And based on that solid foundation is that we have built our relationship. So, in this annual summit, what is it special? We have seen significant progress in our relationship in the last 10, 11 years in that relationship. It is special, it is strategic, it is global, and it is a real partnership. We have seen progress. So the leadership will review that progress and, of course, give a new roadmap to take that relationship to further higher levels.
There's a lot of excitement around the bullet train project that is taking shape in India with support from Japan. What can we expect? Will that also be the focus of conversations between the leaders?
See, there are several elements in this relationship. As I mentioned, economic partnership is a very important part of our engagement. And there are other elements which have been building our relationship, infrastructure projects. So many Japanese companies have participated in various infrastructure projects in India. One of such projects is our MAHSR project. And we are making progress in that project. In 2027, we will have a train running on the Ahmedabad-Mumbai project.
Emerging technologies, semiconductor manufacturing and the supply chain is another focus area. Can we expect some progress in that domain as well in this visit?
See, when you look at our relationship, it is a quite comprehensive, very broad relationship which involves several aspects. One, our traditional business engagement. There are other major elements in our relationship: semiconductors, quantum computing, critical technology, drones, robotics, space. There are so many areas where we are cooperating at every level. Semiconductor is a very important area. India is making so much progress and investment in that area, and Japan is also doing it.
We understand they're also part of the Quad grouping. Although this is a bilateral visit, in strategic defense and developments, what could be the areas in focus?
We have seen that India and Japan have been working very closely in various plurilateral mechanisms. Both are members of G20. We participate, we actively engage in various plurilateral mechanisms, and one of that is Quad. And Quad is very important because 4 like-minded countries have come together with a common vision for peace, stability, security and prosperity in the region, and with concrete ideas. So we are making progress in that. And of course, these are the plurilateral engagement will also continue to be part of our engagement between India and Japan.
That was India's ambassador to Japan talking about Prime Minister's upcoming visit to Tokyo and the manner in which it will provide fresh momentum to the ties between India and Japan. With Team DD India, Shubhendu Ghosh in Tokyo, Japan.
Well, next level of investment and trade cooperation will be in focus during Prime Minister Modi's upcoming visit to Japan. The next report looks at the robust partnership between the two economic powerhouses of Asia.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Japan from 29 to 30th August. In Tokyo, Prime Minister will engage with his Japanese counterpart, Shigeru Ishiba, in the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. While India and Japan share civilizational ties, economic cooperation forms the bedrock of their modern partnership. Prime Minister's visit is expected to give a new fillip to India-Japan economic relationship, particularly in the domain of trade, investment and cooperation in semiconductors and emerging technologies. The comprehensive economic partnership agreement between the two nations has significantly strengthened the bilateral trade, with over 1,400 Japanese companies operating in India and 11 industrial townships across 8 states hosting Japanese enterprises. Earlier on Wednesday, PM flagged off the e-Vitara, Suzuki's first made-in-India global strategic battery electric vehicle in Gujarat. These vehicles, made in India, will be exported to 100 countries. Expectations are high for Indian and Japanese businesses from Prime Minister Modi's visit.
When both our PMs meet, the key expectation is a roadmap for next generation cooperation, especially in clean energy, digital technology and supply chain security. With global uncertainties, both countries can set a model of democratic economic partnership. Strengthening defense and semiconductor collaboration will also be high on the agenda.
I believe the Japan-India partnership is necessity. Prime Minister Modi's visit will encourage more Japanese firms to collaborate with India.
India offers a young workforce and a large market, which supports Japan's economy. Together, our cooperation brings stability and prosperity.
Japan has been a key ally in India's economic growth. Foreign direct investment from Japan has exceeded $43 billion between 2000 and 2024, making it India's 5th largest source of foreign investment. India-Japan bilateral trade totaled $22.85 billion during financial year 23-24. Exports from Japan to India during this period were $17.69 billion and imports were $5.15 billion. Metro systems in Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru and Chennai and the upcoming Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail reflect the potential of India-Japan economic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan is expected to open up new exciting avenues of growth and investment. In an era of geopolitical uncertainties and tariff diplomacy, India and Japan show the roadmap for democracies to partner and thrive together. With camera person Shailendra Chauhan, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Tokyo.
And preparations are on to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Japan. On the day of his arrival, the iconic Sky Tree in Tokyo will be lit in the colors of the Indian tricolour. And there's more. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh gets us the details.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Japan. Preparations have started here in Tokyo to extend a special welcome to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Right now, I'm in the heart of Tokyo in Sumida district. Next to me is the iconic Sky Tree in Japan at over 600 meters. It is the tallest tower in Japan and the world. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Tokyo, in a unique honor, the star will be lit in the colors of the tricolour. It's a unique honor rarely extended to a visiting dignitary or a nation. It will bear testimony to close India-Japan friendship when Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives. And now we are at the top of the observation deck of Skytree in Tokyo, about 450 meters high from the ground. From here you get a bird's eye view of the Tokyo city. You see the skyscrapers, you see the Sumida River, the seaport and much more. This is also a place where a special yoga session will be organized when Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Tokyo. It was Prime Minister Modi's vision to make yoga a global phenomena with International Day of Yoga. And at this height of 400 meters, yoga is going to be literally at the top of the world. These special experiences are sure to make Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan a memorable one. With camera person Shailendra Chauhan, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Tokyo.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a phone call from the President of Finland, Alexander Stubb. President Stubb shared his assessment on the recent meetings held between the leaders of Europe, the United States and Ukraine in Washington on resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi reiterated India's consistent support for peaceful resolution of the conflict and early restoration of peace and stability. The leaders also reviewed progress in the India-Finland bilateral relationship and reaffirmed their commitment to enhance partnership in emerging fields, including quantum technologies, 6G, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and sustainability. President Stubb reiterated Finland's support for an early conclusion of a mutually beneficial India-EU free trade agreement. He also affirmed support for the success of the AI Impact Summit to be hosted by India in 2026. Also, Prime Minister extended invitation to President Stubb to visit India at an early date. The leaders agreed to remain in touch. And on to some weather updates now. Large swathes of land in the northern Indian plains, especially in Jammu, were inundated by snow-fed rivers from the Himalayas and rivulets flowing in spate following incessant showers in their upstream, forcing train cancellations and school closure. Normal life was thrown out of gear in the rain-ravaged Jammu and Kashmir due to the subsequent landslide that struck halfway on Tuesday along the winding 12 kilometers trek from Katra to the Vaishno Devi Shrine. Authorities decided to suspend it until further notice. Meanwhile, in Srinagar, the Jhelum River was filled to the brim with the water level close to the danger mark. Devastated by the massive floods in 2014, the city is on high alert. Also, incessant rains during the past 3 days also created a flood-like situation in various parts of Jammu, inundating several areas under waist-deep water and prompting the NDRF, SDRF, police and army to use boats to rescue people. Thousands of people were evacuated from low-lying flooded areas to safety. Well, amid the current flood-like conditions in Punjab, several villages across more than 10 districts are affected due to heavy discharge of water from Bhakra, Pong and Ranjit Sagar dams. So water is also being regulated through headworks to manage the flow. Heavy rainfall in the hills and the catchment areas of rivers Satluj, Ravi and Beas flowing through Punjab have caused floods. The Punjab government had declared holidays in all the schools across the state till the 30th of August. Meanwhile, monsoon rains are continuing intermittently in Himachal Pradesh, due to which normal life has been badly affected. In the plain districts of the state, a flood-like situation has arisen due to continuous rain, and rivers and streams are overflowing at other places as well. The Meteorological Department today issued a red alert for heavy rains for 2 districts of the state, Kangra and Chamba, while a yellow alert has been issued for some areas. According to the Meteorological Center, Shimla, the spell of rain is likely to continue in the state till 31st of August. Also, the Indian Meteorological Department issued a red alert for extremely heavy rainfall over coastal Karnataka and Telangana, adding that the heavy showers will likely continue till September 2nd. It also predicted isolated heavy rainfall over coastal Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and Tamil Nadu till 29th of August. The weather outlook for the coming days shows continued rain in Mumbai, with rainfall amounts slightly exceeding typical levels for this time of the year. These conditions may lead to potential waterlogging in several places. Well, as several states of the country struggling with nature's fury, multi-agencies, including National Disaster Response Force, are involved in rescue and relief operations on a war footing. Also, the Indian Air Force continues to demonstrate its commitment to national service by launching extensive relief and rescue missions in response to the rising water levels and devastating floods caused by incessant rains in Jammu region in northern Punjab. The IAF stands ready to undertake further missions as the situation evolves, reaffirming its unwavering commitment to the nation and its citizens during times of natural calamity. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Macron tasked to join Sandhu in backing Moldova's EU future on Independence Day. Pentagon issues warning to Microsoft over use of Chinese nationals in its cloud environments. And two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu scripts fight back to reach pre-quarter-finals at the BWF World Championships.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump presided over a policy meeting on Israel's conflict in Gaza and posed plans for the Palestinian territory, on which input from former British Prime Minister Tony Blair and former Trump Middle East envoy Jared Kushner. Trump, top White House officials, Blair and Kushner discussed the hostage crisis, plans to escalate food aid deliveries, post-conflict plans and more. The official described the session as simply a policy meeting. Kushner was a key White House advisor on Middle East in Trump's first term. Blair was Prime Minister during the 2003 Iraq conflict, over which he has faced widespread criticism. Trump had promised a quick end to the conflict in Gaza during his presidential campaign, but a resolution has been elusive 7 months into his second term. Trump cast the plan, which he has not publicly mentioned in recent weeks, as a redevelopment idea to turn Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. And separately, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar at the State Department on Wednesday to discuss key issues in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria and Iran. In their meeting, Saar thanked Rubio for his firm commitment to standing by Israel over the years, as well as for the clear support of President Trump's administration for Israel. The two diplomats also discussed the various challenges and opportunities in the Middle East. The talks took place amid outrage over this week's double Israeli strike on Nasser Hospital in southern Gaza that killed a journalist, emergency workers, and others. And all United Nations Security Council members except the United States said the famine in Gaza was a man-made crisis and warned that the use of starvation as a weapon is banned under international humanitarian law. In a joint statement, the 14 Council members called for an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire, the release of all hostages held by Hamas and other groups, and for Israel to immediately and unconditionally lift all restrictions on aid delivery. Israel asked the Global Hunger Monitor on Wednesday to retract an assessment. Israel dismissed the findings as false and biased, saying the IPC had based its survey on partial data largely provided by Hamas. Acting U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Dorothy Shea, questioned the credibility and integrity of the IPC report, saying it doesn't pass the test on either. Additionally, Israel's UN Ambassador Danny Danon said that there will be more information in the next few days on a strike on Nasser Hospital in Gaza. And U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Wednesday said that the Pentagon has issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft. The statement came after an investigative journalism publication reported that Microsoft was using Chinese nationals to service Pentagon cloud environments. While Microsoft in July had said that it has ended the practice of using China-based engineers to provide technical support to the U.S. military under the supervision of U.S. digital escorts.
So the use of Chinese nationals to service Department of Defense cloud environments, it's over. We've issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft documenting this breach of trust, and we're requiring a third-party audit of Microsoft's digital escort program, including the code and the submissions by Chinese nationals. This audit will be free of charge for U.S. taxpayers. I'm also tasking the Department of Defense experts with a separate investigation of the digital escort program and the Chinese Microsoft employees that were involved in it. These investigations will help us determine the impact of this digital escort workaround. Did they put anything in the code that we didn't know about? We're going to find out.
Well, another debacle was witnessed in Mexico's Senate on Wednesday during an important committee session. An earlier argument ends up in a fight between the members just after country's national anthem was over. The fight heated up and leader of the opposition physically shoved Senate President during the closing moments of the legislation session. The opposition leader argued with Chamber's President on being excluded from participating in the debate. And a shooter opened fire on Wednesday morning during Mass at a Minneapolis Catholic school, killing 2 children and injuring 17 other people before dying by suicide. The shooting happened at Amenization Catholic School just days after the first day of school on Monday. Police said 14 of the injured were children and they are all expected to survive. FBI Director Kash Patel said the case was being investigated and is an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. Patel identified the attacker as Robin Westman, who public records show to be a 23-year-old resident of the area. The shooting was the 46th such incident since January, according to the K-12 school shooting database. Well, the officials said the shooter fired dozens of rounds using a rifle, a shotgun and a pistol, which were all purchased illegally. They said they had recovered additional firearms at other residences connected to Westman. Law enforcement officials said they are examining an online manifesto posted by Westman that has since been taken down. Well, the White House flags were lowered to half-staff after U.S. President Donald Trump issued a proclamation to honor the victims of the Minneapolis Catholic school shooting. The order extends to all public buildings and grounds, at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia and throughout the United States and its territories through Sunday. And French President Emmanuel Macron, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk addressed a crowd in central Chisinau in Romania during a concert on Wednesday marking Moldova's Independence Day. The event, held under a sunset sky and illuminated by flashlights and national colours, drew thousands of attendees. The leaders stood together on stage with President Mala Sandu, voicing support for Moldova's European future. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz declared Moldova's place in the European family. And in sports, in the US Open, Novak Djokovic overcame an early scare to reach the third round while Prasar Bharati is knocked out of the US Open in New York. Djokovic, who was chasing a record 25th Grand Slam title, recovered from a set-down against American qualifier Zachary Zvezda to win 6-7, 6-3, 6-3, 6-1. The 38-year-old Serbian has reached the third round at the tournament for a record-equaling 19th time, where he will face Britain's Cameron Norrie. In other action, Norwegian 12th seed and the 2022 US Open finalist Prasar Bharati fell to Belgium's Raphael Collignon. In the 3.5 hours contest, the Belgian, who was only playing his second Grand Slam, ended up winning the 5-set thriller 6-4, 3-6, 3-6, 6-4, 7-5. While Britain's Jack Draper withdrew due to injury, giving his second-round opponent Zizio Bergs a walkover into the third round. The withdrawal of Draper clears Yannick Sinner's path towards defending his title. Well, in the women's draw, Britain's Emma Raducanu continued her solid start to the tournament after dispatching Indonesian qualifier Janice Chen 6-2, 6-1. Chen had become the first Indonesian player to reach the main draw of the Grand Slam in 21 years. Fourth seed Jessica Pegula is also into the third round after beating Russian Anna Blinkova 6-1, 6-3. And two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu continued her stellar campaign at the BWF World Championship in Paris. The Indian badminton player secured a hard-fought victory over Malaysia's Kerupathavan Lichana. She trailed 12-18 in the first game. The Indian responded with a run of 6 straight points to edge ahead and eventually close out the match 21-19, 21-15. Sindhu, who claimed the badminton world title in 2019, has now reached the third round of the tournament for the first time since 2021. Sindhu will next face world number 2 Wang Yi of China. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.